record it.
Okay.
Shoot, I gotta charge my phone.
Okay.
Let me see if I have.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Stedman, I got to unmute you.
Okay.
All right,
It is now. Yes.
Everybody else is muted. All right.
I'm fixing to start class. I'll have to call you back in a minute. In New York, I told him I'd call him tonight. He forgets my schedule. I forget my schedule sometimes.
I just write it down.
Oh, well, I do. If I didn't write it down, I would. I couldn't keep up with everything.
Oh, I know. All right. What time is this? 7 o'clock.
It's 7 o'clock. It's time to start. There's 27 students count. There's 29 counting you and me.
Yeah. All right.
Dr. Lamb, before you start on the OMA, because I'm not going to say, but just very briefly about what they're working on with the AppTel. The work that has come in, pretty much I'm cleared with AppTel 1 with I would say about 98% of the students. The 2% that has not, you know who you are, and you know I'm not going to beg you for it. You're grown people, so you know what you've got to do. But you know, we talked about it last week, so I'm not going to beat that horse to death again. I've gotten a lot of already. Several students have already cleared with task 2, which lets me clearly know that the directions that have been given are very understandable. You followed them to the T. You have your breakdown of the research or the surveys, the research that you've done has been, Dr. Lamb, I have been highly pleased with what has come in on task 2. I had a student to turn in task 3 with the action plan today, and the only thing that I sent back was to make sure that when you get to that point, just remember when you get to task 3 and you're doing the action plan, you need to show evidence of presenting that to your administration. They need to know what your findings are and to be a part of that action plan and support it. So you need to provide evidence of that. That's all I've got to say about it, Dr. Lamb. I think I would say that 90% of them, they're doing exactly what you and I wanted them to do. And they figured a lot of it out on their own, and that's what we needed for them to do.
Well, good.
So, good job.
All right. Okay, as you can see on the screen, I have task 3 open. One of the things I want to cover with you tonight is a mistake not to make. So all of you, let me turn this light off and see if that'll help. It'll help. Oh yeah. All right. Everybody's got their DRF portfolio, and everybody knows how to upload their app cell. You've already uploaded it for evaluation. You know you'll do the same for the AppTel. You know that you've got to do your SOE dispositions this semester, as well as your competency analysis. I'm going to remind you of that one more time. This semester, you owe us the AppTel, the AppCell, competency analysis, and School of Ed dispositions. Competency analysis, you copy and paste in those boxes what you wrote in Task 5 of the AppSell and Task 4 of the AppTell goes in the competency analysis boxes. School of Ed dispositions can be done at any time. That's where you just rate your own dispositional behaviors. Now, by this time, we're getting to the end when you should start being concerned about putting artifacts in your competency folio. Artifacts are things. They are pictures, PowerPoints, brochures, minutes, agendas, flyers, posters, copies of correspondence, copies of emails, things that would have been generated from the work that you did, not only from evidence artifacts, but also from the 80 hours of clinical work that you did at your school this semester. Those pieces of proof or artifacts go in your competency folio. You should have already set up your competency folio. And here's one that I've set up for spring 18. Now, the thing to remember, when you click on a particular competency to upload a proof or an artifact, say communication, I went over this with you before, it's most important that you choose the correct button that matches the type of media that you are trying to upload. I've been having problems lately with some other groups getting emails and calls from both coaches and students. It won't let me upload this or it won't let me upload that. Well, if you use the wrong button, it won't. This is sort of an IQ test. So, one more time. If you have text or image, and that would be PDF file, a PNG, which is a screenshot, or a JPEG, which is a picture, you use the text and image button to upload that form of media. If you have a PowerPoint or some kind of a Google Doc slideshow or a Prezi slideshow, or one of these things that I see that you can now create with a smart board, if you have one of those, you use the slideshow button. If you have a Word document or a Excel file, you use the attachment button. If you have an MP3 or an MP4, you use the video button. And if you have a link to YouTube, you use the link button. Make sure you choose the appropriate button for the media type that you have, and everything will be fine. It will upload your materials if you choose the right button. Now, so that should cover all of that. So by the end of this semester, you will have done all of down through visionary. You will have completed this. Now, if you want us, you should also enter your internship log here and not in your DRF portfolio. That's for the completed log. You put it in here for us to review your 80 hours this semester. Now, last thing about this, and I've had this to happen twice over the last week. When you upload your artifacts in here, we expect you to click on Request Comments and then select which ones that you have uploaded something in. Let's say it's 3 of them, and then continue, and then you select the person that you want to review your competency folio, and that would be your coach. So that would be either me or Dr. Hamilton. You can also select Dr. Stedman. He will look at them as well. Now, what you are not to do, and let me say that again, what you are not to do is hit Publish Share. You are not to hit Publish Share, because that sends that sends a message through the system, but we don't get a notification that you've done anything. We would have to know, you would have to send us a separate email telling us that you had shared something with us, and we would have to go to our message center and task stream to retrieve it. And then that's a whole nother issue of sometimes they come through, sometimes they don't. Sometimes we have issues with that system. Most of the time it works, but there is no notification attached to that. So I don't want you using publish share. I want you using request comments, because we get notified when comments are in the folder. Also, until you request comments the first time, we cannot access your folder. Let me say that again. Until you request comments from us the first time, we cannot access your competency folio. So when you do publish share, and we do find it, we can't, when we open it up, we can only see the work you did that time. Any subsequent work that you do, we cannot see it. It stays frozen in time. If you, as soon as you request comments, we can go back at any time and look at your folio. And so sometimes you have questions, you have issues, and we need to access that folio. Until you request comments, it's not available to us. So do not use publish share, use request comments and select us. Select me and Dr. Stedman and Dr. Hamilton, and that way we will have access to your folio at any time. Any questions about the folio? Let me see. Let me get to the chats here. Do we upload one per competency for this semester? Yes. You will upload one each of the 3 semesters you're in the program for a total of 3, but one per this. Do not put 3 communications in and skip change management. You put them in just like you do them in your competencies in AppSell task 5 and AppTel task 4. You will have covered all 21. We want evidence of all 21. We want 1 proof or artifact for each of the 21 this semester. Don't do 3 or 4. You can do as many as you want, but we're looking for 1 per. That won't mean you won't have to do 1 next. If you put 2 in for communication this semester, that does not keep you from having to put 1 in next semester. What if we already published to share a link to our site mentor? Can we undo it? No, but if you want us to look at it, you have to do request comments. So that's the issue. That publish share is generally for people outside of our system, and like your site mentor, that's fine. But if you want us to look at it, you've got to use request comments. Yeah, so that's, yeah, you can do that. So now I'm not saying don't use that to share it with somebody else. Like if you want to share it with your site supervisor, that's a good idea. But that doesn't give us access to it. We need access to your folio using the request comments button. So if you will do that, then we'll be good. All right. Okay. So let me close TaskStream. Always remember, when you leave TaskStream, don't leave it unattended for more than 3 or 4 minutes. Always log out when you leave it. You can leave it here where you can just quickly log back in. And one of the tricks of the trade also is if you're using Windows 10 and you're using the new Internet Explorer that's called Microsoft Edge, it doesn't like TaskStream and TaskStream doesn't like it. You're better to use Chrome or Mozilla for that. And so for me, I open TaskStream in a separate browser with Chrome. I do not use it in Microsoft Edge, and that also keeps me from it freezing on me. TaskStream doesn't like to be opened in combination with other programs as well, and so I make sure that, as you can see, it's the only program that I have open in Chrome. And when I close it, I can leave it here and then go back to my go back to my Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge browser, and I can have other things up on it. And also, Blackboard doesn't like to be open at the same time that TaskStream does. You get some freezes from time to time, and hopefully it'll just freeze for 2 or 3 seconds, and then you can move the screen. Sometimes it'll freeze and lock you out for 6 hours. So I would suggest when you start using TaskStream for long periods of time, like uploading competencies, that you would open it in a separate browser window, and it'll work better for you.
Dr. Lamb,
Yeah.
if you would show, for some reason, the notification, and I sent it out Sunday and I sent it out today, the O10 class, they did not get it today, but now remember it was on what I sent out on Sunday. So if you would show them where you are, because I just sent it to them again, and some of them had just joined in.
Show them where I am and
Yeah, just show. Yeah, just if you could just show them again. That it won't hurt the ones that saw it to see it again, because I had about 6 to join in after you started that.
So what do you want me to go back to the competency folio?
Yeah, just very briefly, because it won't hurt the ones that saw it to see it again.
Okay. All right.
I don't know what the problem is. This is twice this has happened when they've been emailed. I got confirmation that they had received the email, but apparently they didn't get it on their end.
Okay. Well, what I covered is, excuse me, is competency folio. You know, when you come into TaskStream, you don't go into your DRF, you go to folios and web pages. You should have already uploaded you a competency folio for the spring. You are required to put one artifact or proof of each of the 21 of these this semester, as I covered a minute ago. You can put 3 if you want to, but only one's going to count. That doesn't preclude you having to do another one next semester and another one the following semester. We want 21 separate ones in this semester, one that represents each of these. We also want you to upload your 80-hour internship log so we can look at it. When you upload these, you are not to use publish share for us. You are to use request comments. And so when you click on communication, you will have a request comments button. You must request comments from us. You tell us which ones you uploaded. Let's say you did the first 3. Continue. And then you select me, Dr. Stedman, and Dr. Hamilton. We are the ones. This is the only way that we'll be notified. And we also do not have access. We have access to your DRF portfolio at any time, but we will not have access to your competency folio until you request comments the first time. After you request comments, we'll be able to go back to it anytime we want to, but not until you request comments that first time. Just a quirk in how TaskStream works. The publish share, that works if you want to send it. We had one student that said that she sent this to her site mentor. That's wonderful. You can publish and share and send it to them. But for us, you must request comments. Last thing, make sure you match the type media you're uploading with the appropriate button across this line here. Text and images for screenshots, which are PMGs, pictures, which are JPEGs, and PDF files. Slideshow is for any PowerPoint, Prezi, Google Doc slideshow, Smartboard slideshow. Use that button. Attachment is for Word documents and Excel spreadsheets. Videos are for MP3s and MP4s, and YouTube links go under the links button. Use the proper button to upload the type of media that you're using. If you're not sure, it'll have a file extension like .png. That's a screenshot. Use text and image. So make sure you choose the appropriate button to upload the type of media that you're going to be uploading. Otherwise, I'll be getting calls and emails. Again, use request comments after you've uploaded them. You can upload as many as you want to at a time and then request comments and then just check on the ones you want us to look at. If you do it one at a time and you put 5 in there, we'll get 5 emails. Be more efficient than that. Put 5 in, then do request comments one time, we get 1 email.
And Dr. Lamb, they need to be reminded too that, you know, when you talk about communication the first time, we understand that, that's kind of like a baseline level, but the next time you talk about communication, we expect things to be more sophisticated than what it was the first time, and the last time, it's a progressive thing. So just remember that. We don't
That's
ever.
why we want to see an upload each semester.
Right.
We want to see if you're progressing and the level of your work progresses along with you. For example, for communication for the first time out, if you send me a screenshot of an email, that's completely fine. That's most appropriate. If the third time you have something to do with an email, you better be the webmaster. I don't want to just see an email on the third time. Your communication skills need to grow as you grow in this program. As always, when you leave TaskStream, log out. You can leave it in this condition. As I said earlier, TaskStream works best with Mozilla. It will work with the old Internet Explorer. It's not compatible with the new Microsoft Edge, which replaced Internet Explorer for Windows 10. That's the machine I'm working on tonight at home. It is not compatible with that. Also, for the 17,000th time, TaskStream and Blackboard are not compatible with iPads. They will only let you do part of the functions. For example, if you're working off an iPad in TaskStream, it will not let you request comments. That button will not come up. For example, if you're in Blackboard and you have to slide across the screen, like if you're working in My Grades or something where you have to slide across the screen, you cannot slide across the screen in Blackboard on an iPad. I have that one again today. You need a laptop. You need a Windows-based laptop or a Macintosh, iPad, or I actually have a what's the brand? I have a pad, but mine's not an iPad. Mine's a Windows-based pad, and I can do Zoom off of it, and I can do several things, but none of the things that I use, none of the programs I use will allow me to use all the features on a tablet. It just doesn't have capacity to do that. So make sure that you are using the proper equipment and the proper media, and you shouldn't have as many problems. We generally have a few problems uploading different media into your competency folio, and that's generally because you're trying to use a tablet or a pad or a phone where you took a picture. If you take a picture on your phone, send it to your laptop and upload it from your laptop. It will work much better. You folks are media savvy, but you have to know what's compatible and what isn't. All right, so I got a couple of questions here I'll answer. All right, so let's talk about the OMA. Now, I have made you a template again, but I'm going to go straight to the OMA. And work through this, and then we'll look at the template. The template is less illustrative as the first two. This one's got a little bit less in it.
That probably after, I would say, after next week, there will be students that will be completely cleared with my work. It's come in, so they'll be ready to start on that after next week.
So the OMA, again, the template that I will share with you in a minute, it's already in your shell. The template doesn't have as many examples in it as the first two, and that's purposeful. We're trying to wean you off templates. Once you get through with the OMA next semester, you will not have a template for the skip. You'll have to create your own, and the CAP. Now, I will be kind and give you one for the SIOP at the end, but this is the beginning of the weaning process when you get to 603. I will give you one. It's very basic, but I will only give you a template for the OMA. I will not give you one for the skip nor the cap. So you need to start being able to analyze things yourself. Now, one of the things that the introduction to the OMA talks about, must be able to demonstrate skills in domains of both leadership and management, ability to effectively utilize budget resources to positively influence student achievement, also about your schedule. Again, you need to understand the relationship between the school improvement plan, the school budget, and the school master schedule. The APSEL we're working on achievement, student achievement, programs that address the gaps in our test scores. The APTEL is about staff development. It's about developing our staff. The OMA is about the relationship of the school budget and the master schedule in support of academic programs outlined in the total school improvement plan. It doesn't do any good to come up with a school improvement plan that addresses academics and staff development, school behavior, culture, climate, and then not put your budget resources behind those, or not align your master schedule with those. I've walked into schools and said, all right, well, doing a principals evaluation, let's start with your school improvement plan, and their initiatives that year would be on math. And then I'd look at their master schedule, and they didn't have any extra time scheduled for math. And I'd look at their school budget, and none of their resources were going to math. And I would ask them, how did you expect to be able to meet the goals outlined in your school improvement plan if you didn't align your master schedule and you didn't put any money into these things? And I'd get that pregnant pause of the stupid. What are you talking about? They're not three separate things. They're all part and parcel of one thing, and that one thing is increasing academic achievement. That's what we're in the business of. If you're a person, again, who doesn't like test scores, there's more to school than test scores, and that doesn't show a kid's ability, and that's not an adequate measure or an accurate measure of what a kid knows, then you need to go home. You need to get out of this business. If scores didn't matter, we wouldn't keep them. We wouldn't publish them, and we wouldn't create state report cards. Our job as school administrators is achievement, student achievement. What do they, I tell the story. I don't know if I've told y'all or not. I tell my 603 students the story. When I go to see my students down in the eastern part of the state, I go around, I'm on 40, and I go around the curve in Raleigh, and I stop going from west to east, and I start going from north to south, straight down toward Wilmington. And about 3 miles after I pass the curve, I come to the exit for Garner, North Carolina, which is the southern suburb of Raleigh. Some of you might have gone down that way. And if you know the name of the road there, the name of the road is Jones Sausage Road. That's the road you get off of to go to Garner. You know what they do at Jones Sausage? They make sausage. That's what they do. You know what we do in the school business? We teach kids. That's what we do. And if you don't understand that it's all about student achievement and about linking all of these management and leadership functions together, then you won't make it as a school administrator. The first two evidence artifacts are about leadership, about leading your school to find programs and instructional methods or instructional programs to close the gap and increase achievement in your building. The second of the evidence artifacts, the APTEL, is about developing your staff so that they become better and more empowered leaders in their classroom and in leaders in their, and that your best teachers become your school leaders. That's what the APTEL is all about. It's about building instructional capacity, developing your staff development. The OMA marks a change in direction for us. We're now going to work on the management side of the business, making sure that our initiatives and our resources and our schedules are aligned with those academic initiatives. The best school improvement plans in the world won't work if you don't put the money in your schedule behind them. And so the OMA is not just about developing a better master schedule. It's about developing a legal master schedule that covers all of your bases and better serves the needs of your students. It's also about budgeting and how much input your school improvement team has in the budget. Why are we interested in your school improvement team having input in the budget? Because your school improvement team, excuse me, is the group that produces your school improvement plan. And if your school improvement team doesn't have any input in the budget, how likely is it that your budget initiatives are going to support the school improvement plan? Not very likely. And so that's what we're looking to do here. We're also looking at supervision schedules, and we're also looking at duty rosters. A duty roster is where everybody has to be during the day for adequate supervision, because there are laws about those kinds of things, and we'll talk more about those in 603. A supervision plan is what you do for extracurricular activities, how you supervise those and keep your campus safe. A big part of 603 school law and finance is school safety. Unfortunately, there's another shooting about every week, and so we're going to go through crisis plans and all those kinds of things in 603. But our OMA also involves some of those things in terms of our master schedule, our duty roster, and our supervision. And what you will learn through the course of 603 is there are many, many laws, federal, state, local, that demand you have certain things in the management of your school, in your duty roster, your supervision schedule, and your master schedule. So here are the list of the things that you're supposed to learn as a result of doing the OMA. Legal requirements for planning and instructional time, knowledge of best scheduling practices, knowledge of best practices in mentoring and coaching teachers, knowledge of North Carolina teacher evaluation system, value of teacher leadership, how to recruit potential teacher leaders, functions of a school improvement team, knowledge of communication media and formats, knowledge of sources of federal, state, and district policies intended for school improvement goals, knowledge of North Carolina accountability system, knowledge of legal requirement for accommodation exceptional learners, and knowledge of technology-related demonstrated task and program development. So those are the kinds of things that are going to be in the OMA. There is what we call rationale. There's a rationale that you have to work through when you're developing any kind of a school-based schedule, whether it be duty roster, supervision schedule, or master schedule. First is federal law comes first. They trump everything else. This is the process you must go through to develop these. Federal law comes first, then state law, then local school board policy, then best practices, and then and only then teacher input. Those are the 5 levels that you must meet, the 5 requirements for developing schedules in a school, management routines. Those are the 5 levels. Federal comes first, then state, then local, then best practices, then teacher input, in that order. They cannot be a random order. They must come in that order.
And Dr. Lamb, for all of them, this is your internships this summer is going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to be able to look at that. While those of you in North Carolina that I don't know what South Carolina does but with Power School, they have to have all this in, sometimes submitted the schedules by the spring of the year, but they're working on changing those, whatever changes need all summer long. So they'll be working on that until school starts back. So you'll be able to get some good hands-on experience with scheduling, should be able to this summer.
Okay. Danny said she used to live there at Jones Sausage Road. All right. What is the general outline for this? I don't understand that question. Makes sense, but what is the general outline? We've got a template. Do we have a copy of this? Well, it's in the template. The 5 levels are just vast knowledge in your mind. No, that's how it has to work. there is a hierarchy in in public law. Federal law always trumps state law. State law trumps local law. Local law trumps best practices, and best practices trumps teacher input. That's the format. That's the process, and you have to learn that.
Dr. Lamb, that question was prepared. Yeah, okay, you got it. You got it.
A timeline for, I don't understand timeline for what? When all this is due, well, there'll be a timeline just like there is this semester, next semester. We'll have
you've got 10 weeks in the summer, but you don't have 10 weeks to get it all done.
No. But you got to do the OMA and the skip in the summer. So you've got, basically, you're going to have a task a week to get this done. That's why we're starting early. All right. So here are some definitions. A contextual analysis is simply analysis the school helps us assure us that organization within historical, environmental, and cultural setting, but also terms qualities that characterize the organizations that are unique to the cultural setting and not influenced by external factors. It's just basically a history of your school, instructional capacity. And here are those. Now, when we start with task 1, context is historical, environmental, and culture in terms of the qualities that characterize the organization. All right, so here's our first prompt. Analysis of the school context, internal and external, district, state, federal. What we want is all the information that's basically in your accreditation folio, the average income in your community, how old is the school, a historical perspective. We want all that information, teachers, what their qualifications are. Basically, I want all the information that's on your state report card as well. Your academics, your student achievement, highly qualified teachers, how many of them have advanced degrees, what's your racial demographics, free and reduced lunch. I want everything that you know about that school in this school context. Everything that you know about it. There's 2 places that where the information I want. I want everything on your state report card, and I want everything that's in your introductory section about the school from your accreditation report, whether it's SACS or Advanced Ed. I want everything that describes your school, and then everything from the state report card that measures your school. Well, that'll be the 2 things that I want. I mean, those are 2 documents, easy to find. You can go online and get your state report card anytime, and it's fairly easy. Most districts, most schools have their accreditation report online. If not, you've got a hard copy right there in the principal's office. We want the information that puts your school in context. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Okay. Understanding of district, state, and federal law, policy, and mandates that regulate structures, rules, and procedures in place for students and staff. I want your master schedule. I want your duty roster, and I want your supervision schedule. That will cover all of those things. I want a rundown, a review of all of your exceptional learner programs. Now, that is more than just your EC kids. I want exceptional children. I want 504. I want limited English proficiency. I want Title I, and I want academically gifted. Anything that's a federal program, and those are all federal programs, I want all federal programs. If you have any local special programs, like if you've got a Cities in School chapter there, or if you've got Project Success, or if you've got Project Lift, or if you've got some local initiative there, I want that outlined as well in terms of what they're supposed to get, what makes them different. For example, Title I, I need for you to tell us what Title I is and what they're supposed to get, what makes them different. For exceptional children, I want you to outline the services that you offer that they're supposed to get, for the purpose of figuring out, are they getting what they're supposed to have? Don't just say we've got an EC program. You tell us what the content of your EC program and what they're supposed to get is.
And Dr. Lamb, for those of you that are working in charter schools, you've got to figure out how this fits into your school environment and your school configuration.
Mm-hmm. And so special needs populations, that's what I was describing with Project Success and Project Lift and some of those kinds of things. Some of those are state and some of those are local initiatives, but anything that's different than regular ed, you need to define it in your school. And then the last thing that's due in task 1, prompt 1, is you need to find a copy of your school budget. Does it contain all 4 types of funds? There are 4 types of funds in the local school budget. 4. There's federal monies, there's state monies, there's local school district money, and then there's local money, school money that you raise through fundraising. Those are the 4 types of budget codes for monies in your school. Federal, state, local, school-based funds, like from car washes and candy sales. Those are the 4 things that make up your school budget. Then you need to find out about your school's budgeting process and procedures. Is the school improvement team involved in that? So that you make sure that your budget resources are aligned with your school improvement plan. Okay? So that's what you do. That's what you do in task 1, is put all that information together. In task 2, I'm going to give you a break in task 2. Because task 1 is so lengthy and summer is so short, and you can write this down. Now, if you don't write anything else down I say tonight, write this down. Let me answer this question first. Budgets are top? No, budgets are not top secret. You'll learn that too. But North Carolina General Statute 115C288 says school budgets must be made available on request, not later today or tomorrow, upon request by any parent or interested party. There's supposed to be a copy under the front desk at your school right now. If you're a public school in North Carolina, you have to give you have to be given a copy of the budget. It is public information if it's a public school. Even a charter school is a public school. Their budget is public information. Unless you're in a private school, your budget is public information. All right, so here's what you write down for task 2. You can go back to your AppTel and copy and paste tasks 1, 2, and 3, take out any references to the task directions or any references to the AppTel, put those 3 together and submit that for task 2 of the OMA. I should be hearing a lot of cheering and clapping and whistling. Again, you may go back to your AppTel, copy and paste tasks 1, 2, and 3, making sure to take out any AppTel directions like task or prompt directions and any references to the AppTel, slap OMA task 2 on it, and it's good to go.
And Dr. Lamb, those that were online when I first signed in, didn't I tell you that this summer that you would be able to go back and you would be thankful for the work that you're doing? This is what I'm talking about. A lot of the work that you're doing now, you will be, and at the end of this process, when you get to the end semester, you'll see where you'll be able to use a lot of it. So that's why we push you hard and encourage you to do it right to start with.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you look, OMA Task 2 is the candidate will develop a plan for instructional capacity building. Instructional capacity building program features depth of knowledge each following areas. And so basically it's what you did in the first three tasks of the AppTel is what you're being asked to do here in task 2 of the OMA. So I will allow you, If you take all the references and prompts and tasks that make us see that it's the app tell, if you'll take those out, all the information contained in the first three, you don't even have to write any linking. You just copy and paste and put them together and submit that for task 2, and you're good to go. All right. Now, here's where everything's been going good so far. You say, gosh, I'm going to get behind doing task 1. Yeah, but task 2 is a 30-minute deal. But here's where everybody runs off the road and hits a big tree. They do not read the first box there. This is where it all goes. It goes to hell in the handbasket. All right. The prompt is: the candidate will develop an analysis of the existing school schedule to include, but not limited to, the following. So here's where we go wrong. Assessment of the current scheduling procedure, strengths, and areas for improvement. It doesn't say the current schedule. It says scheduling procedures. That's where that rationale comes in, and that's what it speaks to here below. Here's where the rationale comes in. People think if you have a bad master schedule, the fix is to start messing with the bad master schedule. No, you only make it worse. You produce a master schedule and half the staff's happy and the other half's mad. You start messing with it, all of them get mad. If you have a bad master schedule that doesn't work, and it doesn't meet all legal requirements, and it doesn't have enough time for planning, and it doesn't have enough duty-free time, and it doesn't have enough instructional time for the initiatives that you want it to have, you don't start monkeying with the plan itself. You look at the procedures that produced the plan, and you go back and you change those procedures. Usually how you get a bad master schedule is you didn't start with federal law, your federal programs first. I know that times are getting more modern now. I understand that, but I'm betting that somewhere in one of your people, we got 46 people online tonight, so 44 students. I'm betting that more than one of you are in a school that somewhere in the principal's conference room or somewhere in a room up near the office, there's a big old board with grids on it, and there's stickies on that board. That's where the master schedule is built in the summertime. The question is how do the stickies get on the board? Who decides what goes where, when, and how? Who decides what grids, how much time? That's your scheduling procedure. That scheduling procedure has to start with federal law. Your federal programs have mandates. And if you don't meet those mandates, they don't fund those personnel and don't send you that money. And then the state has laws in terms of planning and instructional time. You must have so much planning time. You must have duty-free time. All those things have to be built into your master schedule. Then local board policy, like 90 minutes for reading in elementary school. I was at a school seeing some of my interns. I was coming to Dr. Stedman's part of the world, Fayetteville. I was teaching class on Monday night in Fayetteville a couple of summers ago, and I stopped by Hickory Grove in Charlotte on the east side of town to see some of my interns, and everybody was scrambling when I got there. I don't know. They claimed they didn't know, but I suspect they had forgotten that it was that the local school board had decided to add 30 more minutes in the daily schedule for reading. That's when they had adopted Reading 3D, and they felt like 90 minutes of reading in elementary school wasn't enough the year of the initial adoption. And so they'd gone to 120 minutes. Guess what they had done? They had built their master schedule on 90 minutes. And, you know, there's a lot of moving parts, especially when you have itinerant teachers, when you have specials and those kinds of things. And so they were going to have to go back and destroy their master schedule and start again. They had 4 days to have it done. Well, again, federal law comes first, then state law in terms of planning and instructional time, duty-free time for teachers, all those kinds of things. Then your local policies on length of time, how much reading do you have, this course, that course, those kinds of things. And then best practices like teaching reading before lunch in elementary school, not having a triple lunch shift in a block schedule. Now, You can have a triple lunch shift if you have a AB day, 7-period day. But if you have a block schedule, 4x4, you can have 2 lunch shifts or you can have 4, but you shouldn't have 3. Does anybody know why you shouldn't have 3 lunch shifts in a block schedule? I'll pause and answer a question and see if anybody knows the $64 question. Yeah, I will share the syllabus. I'll post the syllabus. I'll do that probably tonight. Because of split lunch, that's correct. So the answer to the $64,000 question is you should not, as a best practice, have a triple lunch shift in a block schedule because you have to have split lunch. What that means is, in theory, you go to class for 45 minutes, go to lunch, and then you have come back and have class for 45 more minutes. In reality, what happens is you have class for 45 minutes, you go to lunch, and you come back and you by yourself. Nobody comes back with you from lunch. So that's what happens in the real world. Then you're out trying to hunt down where your students are that didn't come back from lunch. So you can have 2 or you can have 4. That's a best practice. Don't have 3 in a block schedule. And then teacher input, looking at which teachers do best with which kinds of kids, which kids shouldn't be together. I know we're not supposed to do that in elementary school, but we all do. Teachers, I want to teach this, I'll take that. Those kinds of things come in last. I'll tell you another quick story. I'm telling all my stories tonight. We have it, and we've shown administration the data from those courses of second lunch still hadn't changed. And so, yeah, it's not good. What happens the second half of those classes? Oh, it's not good. If you look at your data, the attendance is terrible. But my story about teacher input. I visited a school down somewhere. I got off the interstate at Newton Grove, and I drove back through the country, and I was about 35 miles from Topsail. I went to a school, and I had to wait an hour to see the principal, and then I had to go back 2 weeks later to see the new principal. Because the reason why he was an hour late in seeing me is they were having an impromptu, unannounced Title I audit. They had 75 third graders. The initial schedule had 30 in 2 classes and 15 in 1. The teachers that had the 30 got mad and beat the principal up, and he relented and balanced the loads. Problem was the third teacher was a Title I teacher. She was only supposed to have Title I kids. She had 10 non-Title I kids in her class, and so I'm sure she just picked up the phone and called Raleigh and said, I've got 10 extra kids in my class that I'm not being paid for. And they come running right out. The feds get mad when you misspend their money to the point where you have to go home sometimes, and he had to go home. He forgot the rationale. Federal law trumps teacher input. It has to go federal law, state law, local board policy, best practices, then teacher input comes last. It's not that we don't value teachers, but the people that are paying the bills get to tell you how things go. You have to follow the money. Topsail, yeah. All right. Okay, so you look at the current scheduling procedure strengths and areas for improvement, not the schedule itself. Do we make sure that all the federal programs, that we schedule them first? Then do we make sure that we enter all the state requirements, planning time in those as well? Alignment of legal requirements for ongoing teacher collaboration, planning, and instruction. That's what that means. Alignment with the school improvement team findings. Again, if our school improvement team findings, which is the school improvement plan, says we need to work on math this year, did we put more time in our schedule for math? Do we make sure that we have the state requirement for planning time? One of the things that I hear often is yeah, there's plenty of time built into the schedule, but I never get to use it because I'm covering classes. You know, but sometimes the fix is not putting more planning time in the schedule. The fix is hiring substitutes. But those are the things, you know, are all those state requirements in there? Alignment with the needs of diverse and exceptional populations. That's your special needs population. You've already audited them. That'll be easy to see if they're getting what they're supposed to get. Evidence of input from faculty, that again comes last. And utilization is defining for revising the current schedule. And then you are to develop a new schedule or a draft of the current schedule and justify the changes that you would make in terms of, and present it to your school administration or the school improvement team. The proposal should be presented graphically in a meeting or using presentation technology, but the project is to include with the proposal. The narrative should include the decision or feedback provided once you present that. So, and then of course you know how to do task 4. You'll do reflection of 12 competencies in your in task 4. That's what you'll do. So that is the OMA. Now I have a document, a template, and it just basically gives you the instructions that I just gave you. I don't have a lot of extra things in it, but I do have a document that I will share with you. I will share this along with the syllabus and the textbooks. And I may not be able to access it without going into Blackboard. There it is. I will share this document with you. And here are the North Carolina, the state requirements that we're talking about. 185 days, local board can determine to use 10 annual vacation days, 10 teacher work days, makeup days, 3 days, school starts, 26, no later than the 11th, requirements. Also speaks to planning time, duty free, those kinds of things. So I will give you that information. You will learn where to find it. Will we need an additional text? No, you'll have the resources you need in the 2 that we have. So if we look at let's see.
The textbooks for that class are good textbooks.
You'll keep them. You will keep them. All right, let me get out of that. Go here. All right. Okay. The Principal's Guide to School Law, 3rd edition, and Resource Management for School Administrators. Those will be your 2 books. I will send that out as an email tonight. Those are the 2 that you will need. The syllabus covers all this stuff. Here's the current one for this semester. Move out of my way.
Dr. Lamb, I just saw a question on there. They need to remind them. And this, I mean, I would hope that all of you complete the class that you're in successfully, but you have to be completely cleared in task stream before you can take that next class. So you need to make sure that you do everything that you're supposed to do so that you don't have that problem?
This syllabus contains the textbooks as well. I'll just make sure I post this for you. Now, I'll tell you, again, I do not send out weekly reminders on work that you haven't done. That's up to you. Every week when I come online on Wednesday night, I'll remind you what's due. But other than that, that's it.
That only happens in 601.
603, you go to totally a point system. And right there it is. You got to have 3,000 points for an A, 2,750 for a B, 2,500 for a B plus, 22,000 for a B. Anything below that, you get a C. That's 50. So everything's based on a point value. It's up to you to get your work in on time. I remind you of what you do every week. I'll cover these things with you again. But it is not, discussion boards. Now, the thing about discussion boards in 603, which are the course content, they're all about doing things. They're about interviewing people, finding policies, looking for stuff, a lot of that. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'll read you the discussion boards from 603. Locate copies of your emergency crisis plan. How long did it take you and your administrator to find them? According to what you read, is the plan appropriate? Examine a school, district, or field trip policy. Assuming you're a supervisor on a local trip, what action would you take after the bus rear-ends a car resulting in minor injuries to several students on the bus? Reflect on the fact that educators have been found financially responsible for professional malpractice. Observe a student due process in school. Report what surprised you most about the process. That's a disciplinary incident. Interview an assistant principal or other disciplinarian. What are their biggest concerns about disciplinary incidents? What system of discipline guides their decision making? Examine a school or district policy on cyberbullying. Attend an IEP meeting. Interview the chair of your school intervention team. Interview an administrator concerning human resource practices. Interview an administration about employee assistance, compensation plan, benefits. Conduct a facilities walkthrough using an assessment inventory checklist that you will be provided. Interview an administrator about fundraising. List the 5 most important steps in school-based budgeting. That means talk to your principal, not the school secretary. Budget comes through the principal's office. Purchasing comes through the secretary. We're not interested in purchasing. Locate a copy of your school budget. Does it contain federal, state, local, and school funds? What, if anything, is missing? Those are the 4 types of school funds. And then I've got a hypothetical case on staff misconduct that you will look. But as you can see, and there should be one there. Yeah, examine the policy on harassment. These are topics these are the ones that I believe are most relevant for you in your role as assistant principal. These are the things that will get you going the fastest, the things that you need to be. This is everyday real life stuff. There's 1,000 other things that I could cover in law and finance, but these are the most important. Do you know where the money comes from in your school budget? Do you know how you can use that money? We'll talk about purchasing and financial law, about depositing your money and that, but these are the things that matter. Discipline, arbitrary and capricious. What system are you using? Due process, are you following due process? What is due process in a disciplinary incident? Cyberbullying has become the hottest topic. That and sexual harassment and sexual misbehavior have become the hottest topic in the business. We start with your crisis plan, lockdown, drills, active shooter, all that stuff. Unfortunately, that's gone to the top of the list now. I wish it hadn't, but it has. These are the things, understand how your school intervention team works. Everybody knows, you might call it your SST or your care team or whatever. You better understand, if that goes wrong, that's on you as an administrator. If it goes wrong, if an IEP goes wrong, that's on that's on your exceptional children's staff. But your school intervention team is what the state calls a school-based committee. If something goes wrong with it, you lose your job. You better know that. There's nobody to blame. Yeah, the EC teacher will be a part of that committee, but they're not the ones responsible. You are as the school administrator. And so, for example, if kids are being referred to the school intervention team and they're not being given their full 90 days of MTSS, multi-tiered system of support, they're not getting the required by federal law 90 days before a testing decision is made, and they're being tested like 9 days after they're referred with no anecdotals, no interventions or any of those things, you're the one that loses your job when the lawsuit's filed. You better know that. Employee assistant compensation plans and benefits. If you have an employee that's gone off the rails and you don't go through employee assistance and you try to fire them and they had a problem of some sort and that the district was providing services for and you did not refer them to get that assistant, it'll be you that'll be going home, not them. Fundraising, the constant cry of the stupid. Well, I just delegate that to the parents. Yeah, and then when something goes wrong, you get fired because you failure to maintain financial control. You can delegate the activity, but not the responsibility. That lies with you. You need to understand that. This one is about reporting. The last one, understanding that you can be as innocent as a newborn baby, but if you knew something was going wrong in your building and you didn't report it, you lose your job. So these are the things that matter. These are the ones that I get. My news feed sends me something every day about somebody else getting fired or losing their job over one of these kinds of things. So I teach 603 from a very practical basis. Of this is stuff you better pay attention and know, or you won't make it to your second contract. You'll be lucky to get your first contract, 2-year contract done. This is the stuff you better be paying attention on. Law and finance is where you lose your job. And so these are the kinds of things that I will have you do as your discussion boards, other than your evidence artifacts. These are the kinds of things that you will be doing in 603. Practical things about the everyday running, the actual management of a school. Yeah, you'll do a rollover into 603. Seth's doing that now. I think he's already got you registered for 603. And so 603 is a very practical course. You will come out of it with real skills that you will need in the management of a school. Remember, the first 2 evidence artifacts were about leadership. The third one, the OMA, is about management. It's about being an effective manager of the resources that you're entrusted with. Management is much different. There are specific rules and laws in management that you cannot break or you cannot ignore. This is not about using your leadership discretion. You will follow the law or you'll go home. So, when people talk about, well, it stifles my creativity to follow the rules and directions. Well, then you can be creative in the unemployment line. The school business, very strict on these kinds of things. Doesn't matter whether you're public or private, North or South Carolina, very strict on these kinds of things. If you step outside the lines on this stuff, there's not a lot of recourse. It's go home time. So you're playing for your career here. So this will be by far, in terms of your longevity in the business, this will be by far the most important course you have, because when you're most at risk is in that first 2-year contracted period. If you do something dumb during that time, they've got nothing invested in you and they'll let you go. You could make the same mistake 5 years later, but you might be able to survive it. But during that first contract, when you're in that probationary contract, if you violate the law in any way or policy, not a good thing. Not going to be. You're not going to be long for the business. That's just the way that's what that 2-year probationary contract as a new administrator is all about. Can you follow the rules? Can you meet deadlines? Can you get things turned in on time? Are you an efficient manager and organizer? This is not about being a creative and being a great, this is not about being a great instructional person, curriculum. This is about, can you be an efficient business manager? And so that's what this is about. That's what this course is about. Yeah, you're thinking about UB40, yeah. So I'll put the syllabus up that has the text in it. That's what 603 and the OMA is about. The skip follows the OMA. The skip is about learning to be an effective leader and manager of school and community relations, and getting them involved in helping you to increase the academic achievement of your school. We do not involve parents and community just because it's a thing. That's not the end. The end goal, the back bounce of involving parents and community partners, is to increase student achievement. We started out the OMA tonight. Again, the whole idea of being an efficient manager, linking your budget resources and your master schedule to your school improvement plan, again, is to increase student achievement. The whole idea of closing the gaps in the app cell, finding better programs or different programs for the right kind of programs for your students, was to close the gaps in student achievement. The whole idea in the AppTel is to create an environment in your school where your teachers become more empowered in their own classroom and better teachers in order to increase student achievement. Are you catching the theme here? That's why I said if you don't think test scores and achievement matters, you're in the wrong business. That's our sole responsibility. We don't teach kids as administrators. We don't actually do the work of the organization, which is teach kids. At Jones Sausage, they make sausage. In the school business, we teach kids. That's the actual work of the organization. And since when you become an administrator, you won't be doing the actual work of the organization. Your job is to keep your eye on the bigger goal of student achievement. And so you will be linking your resources, your budget, and your initiatives in your building your master schedule to your school improvement plan in order to support those areas for academic improvement. When you get to the skip, first thing you'll do is try to increase communication through use of social media with your parents and community, and then design events around that increased participation, like family math night and family reading night and those kinds of things, in order to get parents and community members to help you with educating their children. Again, it's all about student achievement. So that's where we're headed next semester. I've run a little bit over my time tonight, but I had to do task string to begin with. So that's where we're headed this summer. Get on your AppTel and get it finished. Don't come to the end of this semester and let up now. Get all your work in for this semester. Dr. Stedman will keep on you about that. Now, he's going to be coasting this summer. There's no new 601s this summer, so he's going to get to shift to 605 and teach our favorite course, which is the easiest one, the last one. So, but I'm going to be grinding it out with you, and he'll be with us on Wednesday nights. And so we'll probably, Dr. Stedman, are we going to shift these interns to you instead of from me and Dr. Hamilton to you for the summer?
Well, that's not what you had initially proposed, but you and I talked about it, so that's left up to you.
Well, do you want this done?
I'd love to continue working with them, so it's left up to you. They're used to me by now.
I was thinking we'll probably just shift them to you.
That's good.
We'll just change roles. I'll teach them this summer, and you can coach them.
Okay, that sounds good.
And then we'll give them to somebody else in the fall. They're 605. By the time you get through with us by the time you get to 605, we beat all the fight out of you by then. You're pretty easy to teach.
Well, they ought to be perfect by then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty easy to teach 605. 605 is the executive leadership semester, where you'll learn. Mostly it's a lot of self-reflection, learning who you are as a leader, being able to recognize leadership and all the different leadership theories and leadership styles, and be able to put those leadership skills that you learn into place. It's mostly about knowing yourself. We do some We do a lot of self-discovery and reflection through Strength Finder, a book that we use, Johari Winda. We use a lot of different things to try to get you to understand who you are as a leader and what things you need to work on. It's not so much based on gathering large amounts of information and learning a lot of it's basically just about leadership skills. And so it's by far the most fun course to teach, because students by that time are generally beat down to where they just follow right along. But it's more that it's more enjoyable than the other courses.
Yeah,
it really is. And a lot of your personality and your own leadership style can begin to emerge by then. The first 2 semesters, you just got to grind it out and learn the stuff. I hate it's that way, but that's the way it is. You just have to grind it out the first 2. And then the 3rd semester, it becomes much, much more enjoyable when we get to that part. All right, questions that you have for me? I will post the syllabus tonight. Let's see, how am I going to post this? What am I going to do? I'm going to send it to Dr. Stedman.
When you send the link that you're going to send, that I'll send out later tonight, send that at the same time, and I can send it all at one time to them.
Yeah, I'll send it as a document.
Just send it that way. Okay. Okay.
I'll do that. All right. Dr.
Okay.
Stedman, back to you.
Okay. Thanks. That's it. You know, they know they know what they have to do for me, so I don't need to say that anymore.
All right.
Okay.
When we coming back online with this bunch?
Next Tuesday.
All right.
And you and I will talk. We'll kind of see where we are with where it may be half and half. You working with some of these things, we're going to have to start bringing closure to some things. So we'll just kind of see where we are with things by next week.
All right. Whatever you need me to do, I'm available.
Okay. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Everybody have a good week.
Okay.
You will get your link later. That's correct. All right.
Yeah.
Stop share. End meeting.